A lot of times here on YouTube, whenever people give a studio tour, their place is immaculate. Well, that's not what this is going to be today. Hopefully pretty soon I'm going to be rearranging my studio with a new desk and maybe a new monitor, but that's not happening yet. For the sake of posterity, I'm going to go ahead and let you see what my studio looks like right now in all its messy glory in May of 2022. Why don't we just start here with my computer desk, which is actually an old Formica dining table that I got at a vintage furniture store. Anyway, I have an old 2017, 2018 MacBook Pro. It's an Intel model. I plan to get a new M1 Pro one of these days, but this is working for me right now with the old Dell monitor that I used to use with my Dell desktop. I'm a big fan of the Arturia keystep as well. I didn't use a MIDI controller for a long time. Granted, I was mainly using Sibelius and doing notation, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But now that I've gotten into more of using the digital audio workstation type stuff, this thing is amazing. I also have just my pens and note-taking things with some journals, got my iPad, a stack of comic books that I still need to read, a couple tape recorders and MP3 recorders just whenever I want to do something on the go. It's May 4th. My studio monitors are just a set of PreSonus Aris. I think they're the 4.5 inch models. I got them because they were on the nicer end of the speakers that I felt like I could find without having to buy an individual studio monitor. I think that's everything for my desk area. Let's just go counterclockwise around the room. So I'm going to talk you through what's going on with this giant shelf. So when I started my life as a full-time composer, I expected that what I would be doing was just writing music for concert band, marching band, whatever. So I began my self-publishing company, Yellow Envelope Publications, and what sits behind me is a lot of that material. I've got all of my sets and scores of concert band music. I have the stuff I give out at conventions. This is my very official tax document box. I have my comic book storage. I've got my racks that I put my scores on whenever I go to conventions, but hello pumpkin. This section up here is where I keep all of my tape making supplies, like cassette tapes. For the two tapes that I've released, my album and a collection of improvisations that my chamber group Thoughtform Collective recorded. Both available at my Bandcamp. This boy. I was going to bend over and get this stuff out, but Pumpkin wouldn't let me. But down there I have my coil binding machine, and I have the mixer that I use whenever I travel and I'm recording things. And I also have this light clamped to this shelf right here to add a little ambiance whenever I'm filming these videos. This wall behind me is the latest addition to my studio. I got tired of tripping over cables, so I got some hooks that I hung using 3M command strips. And I think it looks pretty good, and it makes things a whole lot easier to get around. I do have some longer cables that would not hold if I put them up there, and I got those stacked over on a bookshelf. I got this marimba whenever I first moved into this new house. The top 2 octaves aren't even in tune with the bottom 2 octaves, but I use it for target practice whenever I'm writing marimba solos. And you might be interested to know I'm currently working on a book of 4 mallet marimba solos for the developing percussionist. So if that's something you might be interested in, let me know, and I'll make sure to let you know whenever I finish it. So the west wall is basically our home library, as well as my tape storage, my CD storage. But this is also the side where I keep my Roland Juno. What was that? But one of the negatives of having my piano facing this way is that if I'm writing and I'm using the MIDI, I kept having to run back and forth to my computer. So I had an extra TV sitting around. Apparently somebody's throwing trash in a dumpster outside. What fortuitous timing. So I had an extra TV, and I decided to go ahead and get a really long HDMI cable. I have it set to where if I'm working here, I can look up and see what I'm doing in Logic or anything. I just bring my wireless keyboard and mouse over here and just work facing this way for a little while. So I don't normally film this particular angle for a variety of reasons. One is that I have my softbox light mounted right here so that I can face this way whenever I'm talking, or I can turn it and sit in front of my computer and talk to you that way. So you'll have to excuse the messed up lighting in this direction. But this is the south wall, and this is where most of my instruments live. You've already seen the marimba and the piano, but in the corner I have string instruments that I don't really know how to play. I've got this electric guitar. I have a violin that I got back in high school, a ukulele. You may have heard that on my kids TV show piece that I wrote back in March. I've also got some bows for like bowing vibraphones and stuff. Right down here, I've got my Casio corner. I have my first Casio SK1 that I thought was broken that I got fixed. I also have my second Casio SK1. Got my Casio PT80 and the Casio PT87, which is the exact same model I had when I was a kid. Also in this corner I have my laser printer. Look at this bad boy. It's gigantic. It used to be right here, but I finally got rid of my old inkjet and moved this guy over here. But yeah, underneath there I also have like microphones and my trumpets, which I haven't touched in 2 years. I also have a spare X stand for my second synthesizer. I've got a vintage Yamaha keyboard from the 80s, and then a classical guitar that my dad let me borrow whenever I was taking a few guitar lessons, of which I've already forgotten everything. And yeah, I actually do have a window in here. Sometimes I open it if I want a view of the overgrown hedge that's out front. I forgot to mention a couple of the mics that I typically have set up. I've got some MXL 990s that I use if I ever need a condenser mic, and my tried and true Shure SM58s. I've had a couple different synth tables, but this is the most sturdy one I've had. I bought it initially because I wanted a place to put together all my sheet music. This is actually a sewing table, and I can open this up and have a little bit extra workspace, but for the most part it just hangs out back here. But this is where I store all of my paper. I've got my 11x17 paper, my letter size paper, varying different weights, so that I can make my sheet music feel a little bit more premium. I've got a suitcase in here that I hope to eventually pack my tapes and synth stuff into so that I can go on the road with it. So now for the actual synths and stuff, I've got 2 multi-track cassette recorders, a Tascam Porta 02, and a Yamaha CMX 100 that I run tape loops through. I have 3 different reverb pedals, a delay pedal, a looper that I like to run things through. This boy won't let me record today unless I'm holding him. Over here I've got a Moog Workstat, and then a Behringer Neutron, and a Korg sequencer, an SQ1. And in the next couple days I'm going to be adding another toy, an Arturia Micro Freak. So I'm excited to see how that'll integrate into all of this. But one of the things I also like about this table is it's got a giant drawer, and I keep my paper cutter and my scoring board and the different color things for my lights, and also just a bunch of tape and screwdrivers. So now we're at the final corner, basically the junk corner. I've got my tape deck where I actually do my tape duplication, a reel-to-reel that doesn't work right now very well, another stack of comic books that I need to read. But this is really the nerve station right here. I've got a PreSonus Studio Live AR8 USB multi-track mixer. I also have its big brother, 12, that I take with me on the road whenever I'm recording things for Thoughtform Collective and whatnot. I also have this Fender amp that I got with my electric guitar. I might have been better off just to plug through my mixer, but hey, I have it and I use it sometimes. And this horrendous display right here was just a shelf that my wife bought for her classroom. She's a teacher and didn't end up needing it, so I was like, sure, I'll take it. So because I had extra shelves, I filled it with extra junk. So that's all this is. I've got cables, I've got old boxes from Apple, and all kinds of random stuff in there. This will be the first thing to go whenever I redo my office. Also have another hook for some cables for my modular synth, a 3M hook right here that I put my headphones so that they're kind of out of the way. One thing I didn't mention is that I don't typically go through my nice studio monitors whenever I'm working with my synth table. Those are going through high quality old computer speakers that I just had laying around. Got this Altec Lansing thing that I used to use, and this set of Bose speakers that hum very badly. So I just kind of have those for whenever I'm working with tapes or my synths. Well, that's it. That's my studio as it stands on May 4th, 2022, Star Wars Day. Do you have any questions about how I have things set up that I didn't cover? Did I gloss over something that you wish I would have given a little bit more attention? Like I said, this is not one of those immaculate studios with amazing cable routing. I didn't even show you the rat's nest of cables that I have going on actually underneath this camera right here. But maybe I'll show you once I get it a little bit more dialed in with my new computer desk and maybe monitor. Eventually a new computer. Oh, I forgot one really important thing. So why does he have a skateboard? Is this the thumbnail? Say, hey, come see my studio tour, and you'll wonder why I have a skateboard in it. Anyway, why do I have a skateboard under my desk? Well, because I wanted to learn to skateboard, and I bought this thing and realized I don't have the back for skateboarding. But one day I just scooted it underneath my desk for no reason, and it actually is nice. I just put my feet on it and kind of slide them back and forth as I'm working. Keeps my lower half from being just static all the time. It also raises my feet up a little bit so that I can lean back in my chair whenever I'm working. What ISO am I at? Sorry if I was washed out that whole time. I had the wrong ISO set on my camera. I mean, I personally like watching studio tours because it's an excuse to see how other people do it, and I figured might as well make one of my own. I can't think of a way to end this. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If this video made you curious about me or my life as a composer, I invite you to check out one of my vlogs where I documented a day in the life of a composer, or you can watch me compose 31 pieces in 31 days and make a YouTube video for every day of that in this playlist right here. Anyway, thanks, and I hope I'll see you again.